Week 3 is in the books. We have a juicy Monday night game to get to with the Lions and the Ravens. And I promise Joe House, Raheem Palmer, that John Jastrzemski, over the duration of the next hour, is not just going to bellyache and cry and bitch and moan about the result between the Rams and the Eagles. And listen, Joe House, I'm a good sport. Congratulations on your victory. Congratulations on
I'm not
your
a good sport.
wager. Well, I mean, I'm sick to my stomach, Raheem. And listen, I've seen a lot of you-know-what. I've seen my fair share of bad beats. House, that's definitely in the conversation of one of the worst beats I've ever had, because I was shell-shocked as the rest of the 1 o'clock and the 4 o'clock games happened, literally muttering to myself, I can't believe that Rams game. I can't believe that Rams game. Yeah, I'll say it one more time to you. I can't believe that Rams game. This is the Ringer Gambling Show presented by FanDuel, and the NFL is officially back. So if you're going to be in it with FanDuel. They've got the goods, futures, live betting, SGPs, your way bets, all of it. The app's clean, it's fast, and yeah, when you win, you get paid instantly, which is nice because Sunday patience doesn't exist. So get your bets in, build something bold, and make every game feel bigger. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/gamblers to get started. The Ringer is committed to responsible gaming. Please visit rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available, and listen to the end of the episode for additional details. Must be 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Paid endorsement.
Well, setting aside the preposterous result and the preposterous cover, Sean McVay contributed significantly to his team's own demise. And this has been a trend with him. He gets up by margin and then starts playing conservatively. And the number of times they were on the Eagle side of the field with the chance to really push down hard and get touchdowns instead of field goals. And remember, they had a field goal blocked earlier in that same second half. So, I mean, this is no lessons learned from that play. The Eagles, to their credit, we finally saw them arrive, but they still deserved to lose the football game. I mean, the Rams, were the tougher team in the trenches for, 2.5 quarters, maybe. Any one of the Rams, finishing assertively rather than taking field goals instead of touchdowns, or just simply executing on a makeable field goal in the second half, the outcome, we're not talking about this preposterous outcome.
Yeah, when you look at this Rams team, one of their biggest struggles this season has been in the red zone. You look at last week against the Tennessee Titans, they're 3 for 6 in the red zone. Yesterday, what are they? They're 1 for 4 in the red zone. Like, that can't happen. You have to score touchdowns. And then ultimately, you look at this Philadelphia Eagles team, and I said this last week, I have them on fraud watch because you look at all 3 of their wins. The first win against the Dallas Cowboys, you get a second half red zone turnover from Miles Sanders in the red zone. They're about to score and take the lead. You look at last week against the Kansas City Chiefs, you got Travis Kelce has a touchdown, literally drops it, and it leads to Eagles points in the fourth quarter of that game. And then in this game, you get 2 blocked field goals, and then you get a 4th and 1 stop, all in the fourth quarter alone. So at some point in time, the Eagles aren't going to continue to catch these lucky breaks. Now, I do have to give them some credit because we talk about Jalen Hurts. We talk about him not being that guy. Yesterday, he showed that he might just be the black version of Troy Aikman, because when they needed him, he went up there, he threw for 255 yards and 26 unanswered points. He was 7-9 for 154 yards and 2 touchdowns on throws over 10 yards. And I came into the game yesterday saying the Eagles only had 3 plays of 10 yards or more. Well, he proved it. So the Eagles are 3-0 right now. I could say that they're on fraud watch, but you look at the rest of the NFC, who is better than them at this point?
Well, that's the question, right? And you got to give Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith a ton of credit. They showed up in a big way in the second half. But I would argue, Raheem, if I'm the Rams, and listen, let's take the 3.5 aside. Let's take my wagering out of this for a second here. They're right there with the Eagles. Like, that to me is also a takeaway I would have. Like, yes, the Eagles are the champs. The Eagles right now are the favorites in the NFC until somebody goes and knocks them off. But I think there's some sort of combination between Philly and LA and Green Bay and San Francisco. And, there's, to me, a whole lot of teams that can be right there in the NFC. Whereas the AFC, it looks like there's the big two, an emerging team, and a team that we have a whole lot of question with that has a ton of pedigree in the Kansas City Chiefs. If I'm a Ram fan, Raheem, I'm sitting there saying to myself, hey, we were right there with these guys in the divisional round, and I know we yucked up a 19-point lead, but I don't know how you could look at the Rams and say, yeah, they're not in the same stratosphere as the Eagles. They could play with that team, Raheem.
Oh, they can definitely play with. I mean, they outplayed the Eagles for the majority of that game. And, more often than not, they win that game. I just think right now the Philadelphia Eagles have inherited some of that Kansas City Chiefs one-score game voodoo from last year. I mean, at the end of the day, how many teams are going to get a fourth quarter turnover in the red zone 3 consecutive weeks? At some point in time, it's going to catch up with the Eagles. So I do think the Rams can look at themselves and say they are right there and they are a contender in the NFC.
That's true. They are right there, and they ran the ball. The most impressive thing to me was their ability to establish the run. They just, in the second half called dumb plays. They had, they were slashing on the outside all day long, both sides, right and left. It's a fourth down call by that offense. And he goes up the middle, and he's 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. They start, with a 7-yard conventional handoff. He's 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, right in the middle, and the Eagles step up and take him down so they get the ball back on the Rams side of the ball. This is the play calling that I'm talking about. But for sure, talent-wise, and both in terms of the pass rush that they had, the Rams showed us all day long. And their ability to stop the run. They bottled up Saquon. Saquon wasn't the difference in this game. The difference in the game was the Eagles rediscovering their pass offense. And I don't know, what's the sentiment? Well, I can't ask you because you're not in Philadelphia. You have to ask Dabbundo. I'll save it for Dabbundo. I want to hear whether Patullo, lives to see another day because of that second half.
I think the offensive coordinator could get a little bit of a pass after what we saw in the second half of that game. Just throwing it out there. We had a feeling with these favorites, sooner or later, the reckoning somewhat was going to happen. And I can't say it happened across the board. It wasn't an avalanche in week 3. But we had a couple of jailhouse that were eye-opening. Green Bay played one of those wacky games with Cleveland. And for those of you who took Green Bay in your knockout pools, I'm sorry. For those of you who had Green Bay in Moneyline and teasers, I'm sorry. It was one of those games, House, where they were playing around, fooling around for like 3.5 quarters. And it dawned on you late in the fourth quarter, holy smokes, wow, Green Bay's going to lose this game. And that's exactly what happened. They let Cleveland hang around. Cleveland did just enough. Big emotional win for them. Atlanta, that's why laying points with Atlanta was an absolute no-no for me. It was a stay away to the fullest degree. I was like, Atlanta, Carolina, 5.5. I don't want to go anywhere near this game. I'm glad I didn't because Carolina took them to the woodshed. And then you had Tampa Bay, who gets off to this monstrous lead. I have Jets 6.5, and I'm like, I am a dumbass. I can't believe I bet on the Jets again for the second straight week. You have Tyrod Taylor basically orchestrate a backdoor cover on a controversial play. And I'm doing the math at the end where I'm just like, hey, can Baker Mayfield run it out? Can the Buccaneers just take knees? Then they kick the field goal, and it's like, holy smokes, it got blocked. Aaron Glenn's doing his Saturday Night Fever on the sideline. Maybe don't dance until the game ends. Aaron, just a little food for thought. And sure enough, you knew Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers were going right down the field and scoring. So I'll kind of open it up to you, House. Out of those 3 games I mentioned, is there one that stands out between the Tampa survival against the Jets, the Green Bay, we kind of could see it coming for 3 quarters against the Browns, or just the absolute no-show from Penix and the Atlanta Falcons? The floor is yours.
So the crazy thing is, I was on the correct side of both the Browns and the Jets, and those were winning bets. I didn't have many winning bets, and part of the problem is that I got overwhelmed by, some bad reads on like the Dallas Cowboys against the Bears. That was
Whew.
that's on me, and a bad read
PU.
on the Bengals. I'll take those L's. But that Green Bay should have won that game. They should have honored all of the teases and the money line parlays out there. They had a field goal to win the game, and that they should have won the game. That should have been the game-ending play. The Browns were live. The Browns on at home playing defense are going to be live all season long. Look for Browns unders. Look for them to be competitive. They have been competitive at home. They should have beat the Bengals in week 1. They did beat Green Bay in week 3. They should be 2-1, and we would all be saying, "Whoa, this Browns team, Flacco's just managing, game manager." All season long, I think, as long as they're healthy,
they're going to be the coveted spread team, is what you're saying.
They get pressure. And the Green Bay Packers could not run the football. Hello, I just want to do this for 10 seconds, I promise.
That's okay.
Another same game parlay from your boy.
Wow.
Another 3 for 3.
That's crazy.
The reason is because
and you went with the under SGP this time, which I love.
Because it was this Cleveland Green Bay matchup. So it was Flacco under 1.5 touchdowns. Easy. Flacco under, it was like 230 yards or something. Come on. What are you talking about? Josh Jacobs under 78 yards. No problem. He doesn't rush for 80 yards. This is now 7 out of 10 games he didn't rush for under 80 yards. And then I did some like alt spread thing to get the Browns up to over 10 points. 4-legger plus 639. Your boy, that goes along with the one that was the previous week, just under 6-1. So I'm going to keep trying, everybody, to give out these winners. But that was the script for the Browns and the Packers. The thing that is inexcusable is that interception that Jordan Love threw. And look, man, I know they're banged up in the receiver room, but that was on him. That's a bad read and a bad throw at a bad time on the wrong side of the football field. And that is enabling your opponent to win the football game. The Atlanta thing, just they're on my list now. Just don't
House.
We were
Enough.
due.
I agree.
We were due to see a rookie quarterback performance because remember, Michael Penix, for all intents and purposes, he hasn't even started 8 NFL games yet, right? So we were due for a stinker from him. Nobody had it coming at the hands of the Carolina Panthers. And you got to give that team credit for game planning, scheming, but I mean, Penix like really single-handedly sunk the Falcons. They had no chance whatsoever based on the way that he played. So those are the takeaways for me.
So I have a different takeaway with this Atlanta game because watching this game, like I always say, the NFL games tend to take on a life of their own. A lot of times you'll have 1 or 2 plays that'll change the entire course of the game. A lot of people, all the stat geeks will say, momentum doesn't exist. But when you start off a game like the Atlanta Falcons did, you drive to the red zone. Well, they were just outside the red zone. You miss a field goal. Next possession, Carolina scores. You come back. You miss another field goal. Now you get into a mode of where you're chasing points and you're playing off of the script. You look at the box score of this game, and it's probably one of the most misleading box scores you'll ever see in the NFL. The Falcons outgained them in first downs. They outgained them in yards. They outgained them in yards per pass. They outgained them in rushing yards per rush. Rushing yards. They outgained them in every statistical category except for points. Like, you look at this box score, and you would not think it's a 30-0 game. You would think this is like a 12 to 15 point game. And it just wasn't that. So I just think the Carolina, they kind of got by on smoke and mirrors yesterday. I think if they play this game again, it's probably a much closer game. Maybe Atlanta wins by 3 or loses by 3, but I just think it kind of just got away from them. So I'm looking at fading the Carolina Panthers. I think next week they have the New England Patriots -5.5, and I think it's 5.5 for a reason. So that's my takeaway from that. I do think, obviously Michael Penix, he's still a young quarterback. This is a team that struggled in the red zone. I speak a lot about the Rams red zone struggles. Well, the Falcons in the red zone are downright abysmal. Now, when it comes to that Jets game, it's so fascinating to me because I think the Buccaneers are just as fraudulent as the Eagles. And for whatever reason, Baker Mayfield is constantly able to pull a rabbit out the hat. I mean, you look at the first half of that game, 10 of the points in which the Buccaneers scored came off turnovers. So, even with that block kick in the end where the Jets end up running it back, I think the Jets were the right side to me. I just think, you don't have those two turnovers. And I think
Tampa's not going to win by margin. That's the
yeah,
thing.
they weren't going to win by
They're not a
margin.
margin team. They're not a margin team. They let teams hang around.
Mhm.
Baker's going to throw some turnover-prone plays, but at the end of the day, they're clutch AF. That's the
Yeah.
bottom line. Like at the end of the game, despite the fact that all the momentum was on the side of the New York Jets, there was not a doubt in my mind that Baker Mayfield was going to get in a huddle, even without Mike Evans, and was going to take his team right down the field, get him in the field goal range, and they were going to win a game because, one, that's what Baker Mayfield tends to do, and
Yeah.
two, that is what the Jets tend to do, and that's why, despite the fact that Aaron Glenn doesn't like same old Jets, sorry, Aaron, it's same old Jets until it's not. That's just all there is to it. Okay.
Hey, hold on, before we move on,
Yes.
here's the frustrating thing for me is because you heard me call the Eagles fraudulent and you've heard me call the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fraudulent. Well, next week we're going to have an unstoppable force meets
the
an
Buck fan, the
immovable
Eagle fan's
object
gonna hate you,
because
the
I
fraud
can't
ball.
fade both of them.
No, you can't.
Unfortunately, I can't fade both of them. So we're just going to have to see what happens between those two teams. But the Eagles are, 3-point favorites on the road against Tampa Bay. I wish Tampa Bay was a little bit more healthy on the offensive line. Otherwise, this would probably be a smash spot as home underdogs. But at the same time, it's just you got two teams who've just been winning by smoke and mirrors, in my opinion.
Tough game. Okay, I want to hit on some in the AFC before we get to Monday night.
Mhm.
The pecking order in the AFC, Raheem, has been pretty simple, at least in week one. It's been Baltimore, Buffalo alongside Kansas City. That was like the takeaway that most people had. I think the three of us thought maybe the Denver Broncos could be the team that ascends. Clearly, after the first 3 weeks of the season, the Los Angeles Chargers have been that team. They had offensive line issues in this game. They lose Najee Harris in this game. And look, I have fought the nerds on this sort of it factor from Justin Herbert. Well, fourth quarter against the Chiefs in week one, masterful. The throw to Keenan Allen, going to end up being one of the plays of the year in the NFL. Absolutely breathtaking across the board. I want to hit you on this stream. Twofold. One, are the Chargers a Super Bowl contender? But two, Justin Herbert is still sitting there 6-1 on the FanDuel Sportsbook site as far as the MVP is concerned. One, are you buying the Chargers yet as a Super Bowl contender? Two, is it still a good time to maybe get some Justin Herbert MVP action?
I'm buying the Chargers as Super Bowl contenders, but I am not willing to buy in at the current number on Justin Herbert. I think it's a bad look to buy in now at 6-1, especially with the way Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are playing. I think they're on a different tier. As crazy as it sounds, if I had to buy in on an MVP right now, just from a numbers perspective, it would be Daniel Jones at 50-1. Realize how absurd that sounds.
I know, but it's the number. I get it.
It's the number. Now, if you're looking at somebody to buy in on, you mentioned the Najee Harris injury. I mean, we gave this out in preseason, but Amari and Hampton, 7-1, offensive rookie of the year. He's going to get
He's going to get all of the carries.
He's going to get all the carries now.
All
so I probably would buy in on that. But I do think the Chargers are a Super Bowl contender. I just can't buy in on Justin Herbert MVP number right now.
Well, let me offer this up though, Dream. Here's the consideration for Herbert. This might be the best price because the schedule from here on out is incredible.
They got the Giants and the Dolphins coming up. I know that.
Yeah, and they're home against Washington. I mean, I love
Sounds
Washington.
like a lot of wins.
Well, and Washington's continues to have injuries in the secondary. The toughest game on here is home against the Colts, maybe, because they're home against the Vikings. They're at the Titans. They're home against Pittsburgh. They're at Jacksonville. They have the Raiders. Their next tough game, like just looking at this thing objectively, for any team that we would have rated as a legit playoff team, the two right now are the Colts in week 7, who they get to play at home, and the Eagles in week 14, who they play at home. So this might be the best Herbert price because it's a whole bunch of Dolphins, Vikings, Titans, Jacksonville, Giants. Like, I don't know, man. They might just get rolling and keep rolling.
That's a good point. I didn't
And
even
they're
think
going
about
to have
that.
a monstrous season. I mean, you could just tell, like, injuries obviously could play a role in that. They're 3-0. They got a very favorable schedule. They're 3-0 within the division. This is the moment for a franchise that's been waiting for this for a long time. Raheem, I get it. Like, you're looking at the number now saying, yeah, this ain't the best of it.
Maybe you wait and see what Lamar Jackson does tonight. Because I mean, that's probably going to impact the. I think that's the biggest problem is that you have Lamar Jackson and you have Josh Allen, and they are just on a different. But House makes a great point. I never thought about that.
Well, speaking of Lamar Jackson, that is what you call a perfect transition Raheem, into the Monday Night Football game. We have a very good Monday Night Football game. Jared Goff, a lot of trends point to him as an underdog. He, throughout his career, has been a very good quarterback as covering a dog number that's favorable on the road, the whole deal. Well, he fits that dog description. Baltimore is laying 4.5 at home against the Lions, who smoked Chicago and Caleb Williams last week. Got the offense right after a dud of a performance week 1 against Green Bay. But, House, I have a little PTSD, and I'm going to tell you why. I remember a Lion-Raven game a couple of years ago, and I bet the Ravens. And it was never a sweat. It was never a doubt. I know it's different versions of the team. You want to tell me Detroit has come a long way since that particular game? That's what I keep seeing in my mind. That's what I keep seeing in my head. I'll start with you. How do you want to play? How do you want to attack Monday Night Football?
I'm glad you let me go first because all I'm doing is copying something that Dream has already put into the book. And really, every kind of sharp better out there is on the Baltimore Ravens first half. The first half is the way to play this. They have been historically great under Harbaugh and with Lamar Jackson at the helm. And in fact, the way that I personally have played this on the FanDuel Sportsbook, I don't want to lay the 3. It's come down to 3. I'm going to go ahead and pay a tiny bit of juice at -132 and play the Ravens -2.5. I want an outright win. The Ravens up by a field goal at halftime at -132. There are a bunch of trends you will see about Jared Goff outdoors. There are a bunch of trends you will see about how great this Baltimore Ravens team with Lamar Jackson has been against the NFC. There are a bunch of trends about Monday Night Football success for this Ravens team. All of those things support the Ravens, but I don't trust the Ravens, and they are injured up the middle. Van Noy is out, and they have a lineman that's out, an important lineman that's out as well. And so I just don't want to mess around with 4.5 or 5 or whatever the number ends up being at the end of this thing. Let's just take the thing that has been historically great, and that's the Ravens winning the first half of this football game.
Okay, Raheem, first half Raven, the bet for House. What's the bet for you?
Yeah, me and House are on the same page as always. I mean, we know Lamar Jackson 24-2 straight up against NFC teams. Only losses coming against the Giants in 2022 and the Eagles last season in that weird game in which, Justin Tucker missed all of those field goals. But, throughout his career in the first half, 34-2, 63.8% against the spread. I think it's 22-7-1 against the spread as a first half favorite or 3 or less. So, more often than not, this Ravens team gets off to a very, very, very fast start. And I still don't trust this Lions defense to be able to slow him down. I agree with House. I can't play the full game. I thought I was going to play the full game yesterday until I saw the news about the injuries up front. A lot of times, with those injuries up front, I think that's probably a bad spot for the Ravens to stop the run. I think Jahmyr Gibbs can get off. I actually like, his receiving prop was 3.5 receptions. It's up to 4.5 now. But I think you can go over his receiving prop total. I think it might be 26 or so, 26.5 now. I probably would go over there. But I really like that Ravens first half.
All right, you guys are taking the first half. I think Baltimore is going to have a field day with this Detroit defense. I do. And I understand the concerns defensively from a Baltimore standpoint. I think that's why this total has gone from 49.5. Now you're seeing it around 53.5. I'm taking the Ravens in this spot. I'm going with the quarterback that I trust a lot more. That is Lamar Jackson. You mentioned Raheem. He thrives. He dominates. He takes care of business against these NFC opponents. And I know there's the potential of getting backdoored here in this particular game. But I saw the Ravens 2 years ago absolutely wipe the floor and humiliate Jared Goff. I don't think it's going to be to that extreme. I think Detroit will get some points. I look to Baltimore as a potential team total over. I think that's something you could get involved with. I think Baltimore's going for 30 plus in this game, and I will lay the 4.5 with the Ravens. I think they win by at least a touchdown. So you guys like them in the first half. I'm taking them for the game. Raheem, any interest in this total at 53.5?
So I'm looking at my model, and I don't know if this is broken or not, but it has this total pretty high. So I lean towards the over, but I think you nailed it as far as the total. I think the Baltimore team total actually makes the most sense because, we talked about having, question marks about this Detroit Lions offense without Ben Johnson. And obviously week 1, the Packers laid the smackdown. And then last week, they dominated this Chicago Bears defense. So I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. So I still don't really know what that offense is, but I know I trust the Ravens offense. So if I touch the total, I probably would go Ravens team total over.
Fair enough. Haas, you see a lot of points in this game?
Yes, I do, but I don't. I mean, the 50 or anything over 50, I'm just not. I don't want to jump in there. We had a lot of confidence about that Dallas Chicago Bears game, and then the under became the prevailing play there, and that under delivered because Dallas kept throwing interceptions in the end zone, and I just don't want to be messing around with a 50 handle on Monday Night Football. But I think the team total is fine.
How crazy was that Dallas game? Because this is the second time Dallas has did this. In that first game against the Eagles, 41 points at halftime and can't go over 46 and a half. And then in this game, you get 0 fourth quarter points. And then obviously CeeDee Lamb got hurt. So I think that has some impact on it. But Dallas has just been a thorn in over better size this season just because it's just for whatever reason, second half, teams just stop scoring.
Look, that defense continues to be a problem in Dallas, but it requires 4 quarters of offensive football, which is not something that you particularly got in that Bears-Chicago Dallas Cowboy game for whatever the reason. Okay, taking a break. When we come back, the pick we regret for week 3, it was an obvious one for me. I watched literally walking out of the Ringer Sunday pregame studio in New York City saying to myself, wow, I am a real moron for betting this game. I'll tell you what that is. And the bet we can't wait to make for week 4. Just throwing this out there. The 2 bets that I have been salivating about that I bet on Monday have lost in the most epic fashion imaginable. That would be the Texans, and that would be the Rams in consecutive weeks. So we'll see what I have in store for an encore for week 4. East Coast Bias Boys coming right back. The Ringer Gambling Show is brought to you by FanDuel. It's one of the biggest weeks in sports, and FanDuel is turning it into a full-on celebration. Introducing FanDuel Boost Fest, where every day from September 25th to 28th brings you a 50% profit boost on the biggest matchups in football, baseball, golf, and more. So there's so much good stuff going on this week. We have the Ryder Cup, Bethpage, Team USA, top heavy. Can they take down the Europeans at one of the hardest golf courses in the world? You got Ravens Chiefs. You got an interesting Rams Colts game. And the final week of the baseball season. A lot to like. However you play, that 50% profit boost is ready to go every day during Boost Fest. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/gamblers to jump into Boost Fest, where the games are big and the boosts are bigger. Must be 21 plus and present in select states or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. The bet I regret. I think you guys know exactly where I'm going. And when we have Anthony Dabbundo on, he's going to be laughing his ass off. It was me being a dumbass and betting the Titans. House, that is the worst coach in the league.
I tried.
Persona non grata. You know what?
I tried. I
Friends
told
don't
you.
You did.
He did.
You did. And I admit it, and I appreciate it. But moving forward, I ask all of you that if I suggest that I am going to bet the Tennessee Titans, please slap me across the face, throw some cold water on my face, and say, buddy boy, friends don't let friends bet the Titans. That's it. That coaching staff is so bad, so incompetent. What happened at the end of the first half, if that's not a fireable offense, I don't know what is. I mean, honestly, they are so poorly coached. House, it's a joke.
Well, the end of the first half in week 3, that barely makes the top 10 of worst, coaching buffoonery. We had the cousin Sal and Bill Simmons. They're not calling him Tommy Boy because you'll recall from the movie Tommy Boy that the company that Chris Farley was entrusted to run was Callahan Motors or Callahan whatever.
Yes. That's right. That is correct. I forgot about that.
Coach Tommy Boy from now going forward. But I mean, this is the problem, right? You can handicap that game however you want, and you can look at the trends and the way the situation presents itself. The thing that you can't put into a model and that you can't factor in is that every crucial decision will be the wrong decision, that this guy is going to take points off the board for his own team and give them on a silver platter to the other team. There's no model that captures that. So it is the only way to play against the Titans is against the Titans, and that's it. Never on them. But that's JJ, all I can say is that we tried. My regret was the Cowboys. And, it does feed in quite nicely. I do wonder if that game would have taken the direction of a shootout script, which is what we all had in mind, that it was going to be close if CeeDee Lamb hadn't gotten hurt. Because Pickens ain't that guy. We're going to call him a 2 guy. I don't know, man. He's a 2- to me. Because if he's going to keep having balls bounce off his hands, and go to the other team. I mean, he just keeps coming up short in leverage moments, and this is why the Pittsburgh Steelers were like, "Hey, George, best of luck, buddy. I hope for a good career for you, but I'm not going to go too hot and heavy after George." That defense is, as we all anticipated, it is absolutely disastrous, and so the smash spot that is on the board is the Green Bay Packers -5.5. There is no way that number stays at 5.5. I cannot in any. It will be over 7 when we reconvene.
I'm seeing 6 right now.
Yeah,
in the
6
market.
right now on FanDuel Sportsbook.
There you go.
Don't wait.
Actually, there's 6.5 right now on FanDuel Sportsbook.
Wow, already 6.5.
Don't wait. That's a full point in barely like 4 hours. You don't wait. It is going to be over 7. It might get over 8. I mean. People are all going to see what happened with Dallas and understand as the storylines get written up here after that performance by Green Bay and what Micah Parsons wants to do against Dallas. And look, man, historically, Green Bay absolutely embarrasses Dallas. That's part of the Green Bay trademark. They go into Dallas and they humiliate them. And I think that's what we're in store for once again.
So obviously my regret is the Tennessee Titans. And it's very frustrating for me because next week they play the Houston Texans. And, Anthony Dabbundo has spoken at length about how horrible this Texans offense is. They had a 34% success rate against a Jaguars defense, which really isn't good. And next week they're laying 7 against this Titans team. So I'm trying to not regret next week. Because everything says you should bet the Titans in this game because how do the Texans cover margin? But that's going to have to be a game that I stay away from. The Texans offense is just, it's junior varsity level and they have a Super Bowl caliber defense. So I'm frustrated. I don't want anything to do with the Titans. I don't want anything to do with the Texans. It's just a complete stay away next week.
Stay away. The game that I'm eyeing up, I've not made a bet yet. Because I think the week 4 card is rather tricky. And no, I'm not giving you PTSD because my last 2 bets that I've made early have gone down in the most crushing way imaginable. House, I'm keeping an eye on Vegas. I know Vegas has looked crummy each of the last 2 weeks. That was a weird game against the Commanders. Their special teams let them down. Very, very weird game. Hey, your team took advantage, more power to them. But now I almost get the sense that, hey, the market is back in love with the Chicago Bears. Oh, Chicago, they fixed their offense. Oh, Caleb Williams, he's back to where he needs to be. I kind of get the sense, House, this could be a good buy low spot on Vegas laying 1.5 at home against Chicago.
I don't hate it. It's a very fair number to me. I thought that spot against Washington was a very tough spot for the Raiders, especially because of how physical the Chargers were with them, and then having to travel, cross country, short work week. I thought that Washington was in good stead, even with Marcus Mariota, the backup quarterback, in place there. And the Geno Smith, there are pretty dramatic splits, and we keep seeing it and we keep saying it. There's a big difference between him outdoors on grass and him inside a dome. And even though he had a terrible performance against the Chargers secondary, I don't think that he's going to have the same bad experience with the Bears secondary. So I understand where you're coming from with that Raiders angle. I don't hate it, JJ.
Dream, that's like the only one that stood out to me looking at this card. That was literally, I'm going through these games. I feel like these numbers are pretty good. The New England one you mentioned was the other one. I would throw, there's no way in the world New England's losing to Carolina next week. Carolina stinks.
I got one that stands out.
Sure.
Let's make sense of this. The Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes.
On the road against the New York Giants. They're laying 6.5. Next week, the Los Angeles Chargers, who beat the Chiefs, are laying 5.5. We know the Chiefs aren't very good this year. They're not as good as they were in, past iterations. So are you telling me that the Chiefs right now are power rated 1 point higher than the Chargers?
Here's my take on that. I have a take on that. Mm-hmm. I think they are factoring in the 0-3 desperation, perhaps, for the Giants. Mm-hmm. Also, the Chargers have just played 3 division games in a row. Doesn't this now? I'm not saying it's going to be the case. I'm not suggesting you should go and bet the Giants. But doesn't this reek of a letdown spot for them, Raheem? Flying cross country, 3 division games in a row, going up against an 0-3 team. Like, that to me, I almost think is being priced into the market. Is that fair?
Maybe. Or it could be this is Russell Wilson's last start. At some point, it's like, yo, show me something. And I think right now this number is short. I think this number probably should be 6 or 7. So for me, just from a numbers perspective, I'm thinking, you know what? Let me go ahead and grab this, and I can make a decision later on in the week if I want to keep it. Because, I mean, look, what's the chances of this going down? It has a better chance of it going up and the public saying, look, I'm going to take this to 7 or, 6.5. I can grab the 5.5 now. And if I don't want it anymore, I could just say, you know what? I'm going to bet the other side. I'll eat the juice. And then,
Dream, let me ask you this. Does it move if they announce Dart as the starter?
I don't think so.
You think it stays same?
I don't think so.
If anything, because it will be Jackson Dart against a very complex and a very good defense, I wouldn't even be stunned, House, if it actually went towards the Chargers by a half point, give or take. I don't think this is the week they go to Dart. Maybe you see him in the second half. I don't know. This is a terrible spot to put a rookie. I know it's at home.
I agree.
You're waiting for Dart. See, here's the problem now. The Giants are trying to win this in 2 different ways, right? Like, they're trying at first, hey, we're competitive, Russell Wilson, defense, all the money we spent, blah, blah, blah. That's not working. They now have one glimmer of hope for this GM and his head coach to save his job. And it's going to be the idea that Jackson Dart comes in and looks the part. Otherwise, I mean, Brian Daboll's winning percentage over the last 4 years is absolutely atrocious. Like, he has zero justification for keeping his job. Joe Schoen has zero justification for keeping their jobs, unless, of course, they hit on this quarterback and they could maybe sell hope for another year. Other than that, House, they got nothing.
Well, the bad thing is we keep seeing, and Dream, I'll finish this up very quickly.
Nah, you good.
We keep seeing former Giants players going into other situations and excelling at levels that nobody imagined possible. Saquon last year, Daniel Jones this year. I will tell you guys right now, I went ahead and played the money line parlay of the Green Bay Packers at Dallas and the LA Chargers at the Giants. Okay. Those two on the money line, -114 right now on this Monday, September the 22nd. I might really leverage into that.
Is that a prelude to you and Bill's Ringer 107 pick?
Who knows? Who can say that I hit my wise wager 3 straight same game parlays. The Sunday show is my saving grace Simmons and I have not been good on the Thursday show.
I'm the opposite. We've been pretty good on Thursday. Sunday, not so much for your boy. My goodness. I mean, some of these bets that I'm losing, it's like cruel and unusual punishment. That Ram game, sorry, I brought it up again. I'm going to bring it up again. It was cruel and unusual punishment. But you're so right. Not a good look for Joe Shane and Brian Dable. Daniel Jones going to Indianapolis and playing the most confident, top-notch.
Confident and competent, both the C's.
Well, I gave you competent, and then I followed it up with a top-notch. So, I mean.
Well done.
Split the difference. All right, we'll take a break. Welcome in Anthony Dabbundo for 3 and Out. And then, before we say goodbye, baseball's final week of the regular season, and the Ryder Cup is Friday. So we got to hit a couple of quick hitters on that. I'm not going to see House for a show, so I need some help on how I should start thinking about handicapping this Ryder Cup. So Dabbundo and all that good stuff coming up. All right, time for 3 and Out with Anthony Dabbundo. I do want to hit him on some baseball stuff as we are now into the final week of the regular season, and it looks like here in my hometown of New York City, a lot of Met fans on edge about the possibility of missing the postseason.
That's a shame.
But Dabbundo, shame on me for betting the Titans. That coach is absolute buffoon. What an absolute idiot I am for making that pick. My goodness.
Well, I said this yesterday on the pregame show. Like the board was lighting up like a Christmas tree. Indianapolis money all morning long. And I mean, both lines were compromised. Tennessee's offensive line without Zeitler, without Latham. Tennessee's defensive line without Sweat. They couldn't stop the run. So the Colts just got whatever they wanted. And then Cam Ward threw in a pick 6 for good measure. And you guys mentioned this end of half sequence, which I loved because Red Zone actually did catch a corner of it. After the Titans had to call the timeout or take the delayed game because they weren't ready to snap the ball, right before halftime, 4th and 1, they did a close-up of the kicker who said, that's a quarterback ball, not a kicking ball. So after a Colt timeout, they still couldn't get the right ball on the field for the kicker to actually kick the field goal, which is why they had to take the delay of game, try the longer field goal, miss it, and then give up points to the Colts. They would have lost and not covered either way, but just insult to injury. And again, this guy is now 3-18 against the spread. I'm good. I'll pass on any.
Yeah, I don't care
Callahan.
what the number says. Friends are not letting friends bet the Titans. Sorry.
But they will, and I know Raheem mentioned this, they will let you bet unders in Tennessee, Houston next week.
That's a lot.
Which, look, I'm not gonna give away my pick on Monday morning.
18-0 this season on just Texans unders. It's gonna be incredible.
Well, sooner or later the market's got to adjust. Right now with the bundle,
You'll be saying that, and then the total will be 32.5 when Houston plays the Giants in Week 12.
Yikes! Ooh, stinky.
I don't think that's a real game, but
okay.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not going to talk about Houston this week because I feel like I've already said my piece.
We actually are very grateful for that. And listen, you've given us good insight. You've given us good perspective. But we'll pass on the Texans because you have beaten a dead horse and you have won beating a dead horse. We love it. Take number 1 for us.
Yeah, let's talk about those Chargers because I think they are the team most worthy of an upgrade depending on offensive line injuries in the NFL based on the first 3 to 4 weeks. It's not my Colts, although I love them, and we're going to get to them in a minute. But it is the Chargers. And you mentioned this with the spread that's coming up on Sunday against the Giants, and it being the same price, essentially, that Kansas City was. At this point, Jim Harbaugh, 16-5 against the spread as a head coach. The guy has won everywhere he's gone, and the market has consistently underrated him. And you can debate why it is. You could talk about the fact they did benefit from an easy schedule last year, the questions about their offensive explosiveness. But with Justin Herbert moving like he is now, to me, he looks healthier than he was last year. He looks like he's moving better, navigating the pocket, getting away from pressure better. And they have enough now. Like last year, it was just Ladd, but when you throw Keenan Allen in the mix and then you revive Quentin Johnston into a decent receiver, like there's just enough for this team to be, I think, power rated higher than Kansas City, which would get you to laying the Chargers this weekend. Now, the question is, Russ or Dart? I don't know. But if the plan is for the Giants to rely entirely on these Russ moonballs to sustain offense, that is just not ever going to work against the Minter defense. And then the other side of this, I know the game ended up being a 3-point game yesterday, Denver and LA. The Chargers dominated success rate. First downs were 29-9. Denver hit some big plays. They recovered a fumble, executed a little better in the red zone. But that was the reason the game was close. Play to play, Chargers were a whole lot better than Denver. I think that's a meaningful win. It's a meaningful upgrade for the Chargers for me coming off that win yesterday.
Okay.
Without a doubt. That Chargers game was, I mean, as a Chargers better yesterday, obviously we had 2.5 in the Ringer 107 and, in real life and contests and whatnot. You're watching that game and the Chargers are dominating. It's a 4th and 2 at the 50. And Bo Nix they have a broken play. They score a touchdown. They come out of the half. They score on 2 plays. Then the Chargers fumble and the Broncos score again. And the game flips on his head. But outside of that, maybe 5-minute stretch, the Chargers absolutely dominated. So I just think we got to see that there's levels and the Chargers are clearly on a different level because they were able to stabilize that game after a 5-minute stretch went haywire for them.
Yeah, and one thing here about the Broncos. Nix had about 3 or 4 wide open receivers down the field that he just missed. And I feel like that is now becoming a recurring trend with Bo Nix. He misses by a little bit, and it's the hands up in the air, and it's the expression of him saying, oh, I can't believe it, I can't believe it, although it continues to, dare I say, keep happening. Dabbundo, I thought it was super cowardly from Peyton, too. They had a 4th down right around midfield. He punted the ball back to the Chargers. I want to say they were up 4 at this particular point in the game. I kind of had it circled in my mind saying this is a spot he's got to go for it. So I didn't love that from Peyton.
You want to guess where the Broncos rank in offensive success rate through 3 weeks?
22nd.
31st.
Ew.
Yeah. Pretty rough. Only team worse, the Houston Texans.
Your favorite.
So even the very bad, no good Tennessee Titans are getting a successful play on a higher percentage of their offensive plays than the Denver Broncos. I just don't see it with them. They're laying 7.5 against Browning. I imagine I'm going to be on Browning this week.
Oh,
I hate it. But
hold your nose. He might throw 3 interceptions. Just be careful.
Yeah, that's the only reason why that game I just didn't. Because I would have wanted to jump on that immediately, but I'm just worried about the turnover throw rate that Browning has. Because I'm actually for that game, I'm at 3.5. I'm at Broncos 24, Cincinnati 21.
Yeah, this feels like maybe a get right spot for Denver's offense, but also, I don't know. It's not like they've played incredible defenses to start the season here. They played Tennessee, they played Indy without their best corner and their best pass rusher, and then they got the Chargers there, and like you said, they had 9 first downs. So I imagine I will be on the Bengals, especially since nobody wants the part of the Bengals. I mean, yes, Browning was bad, but also they were victims of their own demise. Like the whole offense kept turning the ball over, fumbles and miscues and stuff like that. It feels like they were a little shell shocked after they came out slow. I'm not willing to totally give up on the Bengals, although my take that the Bengals offense would be okay without Joe Burrow is not off to a good start.
Yeah, listen, Joe Burrow's Joe Burrow. We understand that. Would you be willing now to get on board with the Chargers as far as their Super Bowl futures and market is concerned?
No, I don't think so.
Because you missed the boat.
I still think they're a little too limited.
If you like the Chargers, you almost missed the boat, right?
Right, and I do think I do wonder how much their offensive line will hold up. Like these injury concerns, you have to watch. Pipkins, he went out of the game. So
got hurt. Yeah.
So you gotta keep an eye on the Chargers offensive line. Like that's something like the Denver did win. The Denver defensive line did dominate that game. That was the thing that also kept it close. Like they were on Herbert after like 2 seconds on most plays. So yeah, I'm upgrading the Chargers big time, downgrading the Denver offense in a big way, and all of that leads me to probably betting against Denver next week and on the Chargers again next week. But haven't actually bet anything yet.
Okay, all right. So take 1, Chargers, maybe getting a good number against the Giants. Take number 2.
I am selling any idea of an improved Rams defense in the new season. And yes, the first half was super impressive. The way they took away Saquon Barkley was great. They feasted on, again, the first 2 weeks, Houston and Tennessee, and everybody was like, wow, look at this Rams defense. We like them because they kind of got better in the second half of last season, but I still think this coverage group stinks. I really don't like the back end of the secondary. I think the front is good. The front 4 is good, and the front 4 against mediocre to bad teams can mask the flaws. But you saw in the second half, yes, it's A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Yes, it's a talented Eagles group, but the Eagles offense was motoring once they opened it up and stopped playing with one hand tied behind their back. That was my one concern with the Rams. that and the red zone stuff that Raheem talked about. I think this secondary is pretty flawed, and they have a pretty tough matchup now with the Indianapolis Colts coming up on Sunday. And if you're able to neutralize their pass rush just a wee bit, this secondary will, and I think on Sunday will, be had by competent offenses with a lot of talented skill players.
Yeah, I need to interrupt because I have a perspective on this. Emmanuel Forbes was drafted by the Washington Commanders right in front of Christian Gonzalez. The cherry on the top of the shit Sunday that Ron Rivera, as a general manager and a drafter of talent, left Washington with. And Washington cut him because Emmanuel Forbes can't defend at the NFL level. And the Rams have Emmanuel Forbes back there trying to match up against AJ Brown and watch Jalen Hurts throw for 210 yards in the second half. It's a problem for the Rams.
Will you be on the Colts getting the points, Dabbundo?
I will not, because I'm also concerned about their defense. Kenny Moore got hurt, left the game with a calf injury. He is their nickel corner, who's been one of the best nickel corners in the NFL for half a decade now. They just signed Mike Hilton off the street.
Oh God, he was in Dolphin camp and he couldn't make the Dolphin secondary. That's
right.
That's concerning.
And this was a couple weeks after they brought Xavier Howard, another Dolphin legend, off the scrap heap. Look, the secondary is bad, and Bynum's made them better, but the pass rush was still non-existent yesterday, even against a limited Tennessee O-line. Colts were not able to get pass rush, and I thought that Nakua was incredibly impressive against DeJean yesterday, like owning the slot. My thought was maybe the Eagles defense with DeJean in the slot can do a better job on Nakua than they've done in the past. Nope. Nakua dominated. He had 120 yards, and with Moore probably out, I don't know how the Colts get stops either. The total's 48.5 indoors. I think that is low. So my first bet for week 4, over 48.5, Colts Rams.
All right. So 2 interesting takes. What are we thinking for take number 3?
Well, take number 3, I was going to get into tonight's matchup.
Okay.
So I agree with the sentiment of the pod that this is a terrible matchup on paper for the Lions, right? Like the amount of man that they like to play. It's less man than they played in years past, but it's still a ton of man coverage. And Lamar has destroyed man coverage. The Ravens have destroyed man coverage for multiple years now. The Lions, yes, it was Aaron Glenn, so new defensive coordinator, but they've always had problems with running quarterbacks. You can go back to Justin Fields even when he was with the Bears. Josh Allen last year dominated them. So I feel like the quarterbacks who are good at scrambling take advantage of this defense at a really great level. And so I think the Ravens are plenty good tonight for their team total over. I took 29.5. I like it a lot. I think they score 30 plus. And then the question is the other side of the ball. I still don't know what to make of the Ravens defense. I think they're, up and down so far. I think we still have a lot of questions about their pass rush. Matabike's out, so he matters. But the question for me will be, what can the Lions keep up? So I don't really want to bet the spread here, but I did bet the team total.
Okay. Why hesitation on the spread?
Just because I think, I don't trust the Ravens defense at this point. Like, I'm not sure how to grade them. I like them coming into the season. I still have Baltimore rated as the best team in the NFL, but 1, Dan Campbell, betting against him, not always the most fun endeavor. And 2, 4.5, 4, that back door is always going to be open. And how many times have we seen Ravens tomfoolery that I really don't want any part of the spread here. So if I had to bet a spread aside, I would take the Baltimore because, like I said, I think they're going to score 30 plus, but I'm on the team total for my bet.
Okay. Now, you mentioned week 4. Is there another week 4 bet that you'd like to get in on?
I want to get Joe House's take on Atlanta and Washington. I was surprised to see Washington up to 3 on the road. Were you surprised?
I was indeed. I expected if I had been playing Guess the Lines, if I'd been invited on that show, I would have said Atlanta -1.5, basically taking into account just a straight down the middle home field advantage with the quarterback uncertainty. The instinct here in Washington is that Daniels is going to play against Atlanta, but we don't have information. We don't have actionable information. And so I thought the line would just be a vanilla line that favors Atlanta, because I think the priors for these two teams. I don't think Washington was coming in enormously higher rated than the Falcons into the season. I haven't looked at the look ahead. I'll look that up while we're chatting. But I was surprised to see Washington as like stake in the ground favorite on the road by that number.
Yeah,
God,
the one that
Atlanta
stood out
looked
to me was
miserable.
Bears Raiders. Those were the two.
You agree with my sentiment here that I could be getting a good value with the Raiders at 1.5?
I mean, the Bears defense gave up 6 yards of carry and 400 yards of offense. It was not like they did a great job. They had a bunch of turnovers in the red zone. They had the ball with the play where Williams got the ball taken from him as he was running down the sideline. Like, that defense played above its head, but they still have major flaws. They like to play a lot of man coverage. Bowers hopefully is healthier as he gets further away from the injury. I'm not sure he's looked healthy the last couple of weeks, but yeah, I mean, it was a terrible spot for the Raiders. And is Jaden Daniels a system quarterback, Joe House? I mean, Mariota comes in, no problem.
How dare you? How dare you? It's absolutely outrageous. Here's the crazy thing. I did pull up the look ahead. So the look ahead was Washington favored by 3.5 at Atlanta. But Atlanta was also getting 4.5 at the Minnesota Vikings. And so, I would have expected a bigger adjustment after the way that Atlanta played such ferocious defense against the Vikings. Now that they no-showed against Carolina, but that thing, and this is also a minor regret of mine, they split every year. Atlanta and Carolina, for whatever reason, those two teams split when they play. It's a divisional matchup. So all the line has done is go from 3.5 to 3. So I guess that's perfectly fair.
Well, last year they played like second to last
Yeah.
game of the season in
Yes,
Washington.
and it was an important game for both teams, both for Washington's playoff seeding and for Atlanta keeping playoff hopes alive.
And it was Washington -4, if I remember right.
That sounds
So
right.
now you're laying 3 on the road with like mostly similar teams.
It feels rich. I'll just put it that way. It feels rich.
Yeah. And
Feels
again,
rich.
Atlanta, their defense was actually fine yesterday. Their offense sabotaged and
It
they
did.
no-showed and they blanked. But now they go back home. I mean, they have nerfed Penix. Penix is not throwing the ball down the field much. You can do that against Washington. So that'll be the good test for Penix. Because he had a lot of success throwing down the field in that game last year.
And Washington's secondary is beyond depleted now. Another safety just lost for the season. They're bringing guys in from other teams for interviews.
This line is definitely rich because Washington was laying 3 to the Raiders yesterday. I think most people would have the Falcons power rated higher than the Raiders. So
and Mariota too, though. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think this line assumes that Mariota is playing, or it's
I agree with
halfway
that.
between because the look ahead line was 3.5. So I think there's
That would have been before the Daniels injury, though, right?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I think they're splitting the difference now. I don't know if Daniels is playing next week, but I imagine if Daniels is playing, this goes up to 3.5.
All right. I'm going to have to figure out how I want to time this. Is there still 3 at FanDuel?
I'm seeing 2.5.
2.5.
I'm actually my model actually makes this a pick 'em.
Yeah, I'm right around 1. Washington -1. Assuming
Well, I
Daniels
said-
is in.
Atlanta just home field advantage. Like that feels right to me.
Dabbundo, I need your take on this. First time all year, the New York Mets are underdogs, plus money to make the postseason.
What a
They
shame.
lose 2 out of 3 to House's lowly Nationals. They have lost 4 out of 6 to House's lowly Nationals down the stretch. I mean, you lose those games, you don't deserve to make the playoffs. Reds, they have 3 with Pittsburgh. They have 3 with Milwaukee, who might have everything wrapped up. They are going to have to face Skeens on Wednesday, but they counter with Hunter Green. Mets at Chicago for 3. At the Marlins, who have always been a pain in the ass for them and are playing great. Reds, -122 to make it. Mets, +138 to make it. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the tiebreakers are the king here. They really are the king. Because so often now, they just finish tied. Like, there are so many scenarios where both teams go 3-3 or 4-2. And honestly, don't count out the Snakes. because if the Snakes are able to get into a three-way tie, the Snakes will have the tiebreaker edge there. Now they have the toughest schedule remaining. Like you
Got the
said, they play
Dodgers, right? They have a bunch of Dodger
Dodgers,
games.
Padres, but again, Padres will not pitch anyone this weekend because they're going to have the wild card. So Arizona gets an advantage there over the weekend series. Whereas Milwaukee, they're going to have the bye. So Milwaukee will actually still pitch its top guys because they're trying to keep them in rotation. Like obviously Woodruff goes down, so he's not going to pitch. But I imagine Peralta, Priester, I haven't looked at the probables for the weekend, but if they're able to go, they're going to go so that they can be lined up for next Saturday when the DS starts. The Brewers are going to be the 1 seed. So I would much rather be the Reds because, part of this is also that the Mets have not been good away from home all year. It's been an ongoing issue. They only have one reliable starter right now. And he's only making one start this week. So that's tough. I really do think that the Reds end up getting it, but I think the Snakes at almost 11-1 out there are still probably worth a bet, solely because the market's saying that the Dodgers and the Padres are tougher games. They are, but you're not getting the fastball of those two teams this week. Those two teams, the Dodgers still need to clinch a division. They have a 3-game lead. The Padres are not bringing their fastball on Sunday over the weekend. So I think my Snakes are not dead yet, but I would take the Reds if you just said throw out the odds. Who's going to make the playoffs?
Arizona plus 1,000 right now to make the playoffs going into the final week of the year. Plus 1040 on the FanDuel Sportsbook side. I just wanted to throw that to your attention. And then the AL, Dabbundo, what is happening to Tigers? This is epic. Are they live to miss the playoffs at plus 470?
Certainly. They have no idea who's making 4 of their 5 the 4 of their 5 starters right now are very shaky.
And they play Cleveland this week. Cleveland could go win a division. Yeah.
I'll be very sick about it. I have a Tigers division bet, which I had already spent the winnings, JJ. The money's spent. So
that's unfortunate. Very unfortunate. I will say this. As someone who is a fan of the New York Yankees, get me the top wild card, and I do not want to see the Red Sox. I'll take any of the other teams. Any of the other teams, I'll take my chances. I do not want to see the Red Sox. Too much negative energy.
Why are you so afraid of them?
Because they never beat them when it counts anymore. Since 2004, they've not beat them in a postseason series. Cleveland's the team I want to play. The Yankees own Cleveland. They never lose to Cleveland. They beat them last year. They beat them in 22.
3-game series with Crochet is scary.
Yes.
Assuming Boston
and
can line
Bayo,
up their
who
pitching.
they never hit.
Right.
So I don't want the Red Sox. I don't care where the games are. I don't want the Red Sox. Now, before we say goodbye and give out best
JJ's
bets,
afraid.
Yeah, I don't want it. Sorry, I'm just admitting the obvious. I don't want it.
The two best teams in baseball are on the collision course for the NLDS, so I'm ready. Bring it on, Dodgers.
That'll be a lot of fun. House, you know what's going to be a lot of fun this week? Bethpage Black.
Yeah,
Ryder
buddy.
Cup. I know you're going. I know you're going to have a ton of content on this coming out this week, but this is the last time you and I are going to get a chance to chat until we do the Sunday pregame. How should I be looking to play this Ryder Cup? Listen, I'm telling you right now, I can't bet the Europeans. Even if I think they're going to win, I just can't do it, man.
It's totally fine. I'm telling you, as a rational bettor, the number has moved maybe 25 points. It's gone from like the plus 144, plus 145 range all the way up to plus 170. The implied odds on that is 37%. And what I'm telling you as a rational bettor is that the European side has a better chance of success than 37%. That's it. That's my rational bettor guidance to you. It's early in the week. I'm going through the card. The FanDuel Sportsbook is putting all kinds of great stuff out there. My favorite prop that I see out there right now is Scotty Scheffler to win 3 or more points, and that is certainly within the range of reasonable outcomes, even if I think that the European side, as a rational bettor, offers value. Scheffler continues to remind everybody that he is the most dominant golfer on earth. And what he did going to Napa and winning that golf tournament, didn't need to win it. He just wanted to show that he was in form. So what to me, that minus 145 price, that's an implied probability of a little under 60%. He's going to win his singles match because there's no other person on earth. It's not Rory. It's not John Rahm who's going to beat Scotty Scheffler in New York at Bethpage Black in the singles match on Sunday. Can he get 2 other points for this bet to get across the goal line? I think he can. He's going to play all 5 matches, and so you're going to have all of your opportunities across the board, even if they split a little bit in the alternate shot. In when he's playing his own ball, I like his chances to get, the U.S. the points that they need. So minus 145 on Scotty Scheffler at 3 points or more is my favorite.
What are the? How many Americans play all five? For those who don't know, so it's like two more. So it's 2 sessions on Friday, 2 sessions on Saturday, 1
And
on
then
Sunday.
singles.
8 guys per session. So there's some guys that play all 5. How many Americans would you trust to play all 5?
Wow. Not very many.
I was going to say, who are you going to say?
That's the scary thing for me.
Scotty
It's
and
like, who do you
Bryson?
trust besides Scotty and Bryson?
It's Scotty. It would be Scotty and Bryson. There is a Justin Thomas argument to be made because he is all of a sudden the real vet on the U.S. side, right? On the Ryder Cup team. He has the most experience. His record is very good in the Ryder Cups. I wouldn't be surprised to see him catch all 5. But part of the thing that's going to be tough is like, it is a mix for this U.S. team of veterans and rookies. So like Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth, that team isn't available. They're not going to be paired up together. Who will Justin Thomas be paired up with that would, produce that kind of outcome? We're going to be going through all of this on the Fairway Rolling podcast that will be on these airwaves. We'll have it up by Tuesday evening, so everybody
Excellent.
can jump in Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll be on this show with you, Anthony Dabbundo, on Wednesday, and we'll have our fine tuning underway for the Ryder Cup, and then I'll do my best. I'll be up there Saturday, rooting on the red, white, and blue, even if I have a rational better ticket in my back pocket.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, boys, before we say goodbye, Raheem, best bet for us. It might be for tonight. It might be an early look ahead for week 4. What are you bringing to the table?
All right, let's go to Las Vegas. WNBA. Las Vegas Aces adjusted series price minus 210. I really like that one. I think they come back and win the series. Asia Wilson didn't have her best game yesterday. As a whole, the Aces were pretty rough. Asia Wilson 6 for 22 from the field. Got awarded the MVP. I don't think that's going to happen again. So I'm going to lay the minus 210 on the Aces to come back and win this series. And then also I'm going to lay the 5.5 with the Los Angeles Chargers against the Giants next week. I think there's only so many times where Russell Wilson going to get rolled out there to start. I think in a couple weeks from now, it's probably the end of his career, to be honest with you. It's time for him to go home, be a family man, chill with Sierra.
Was there anything funnier than that goal line sequence last night? I had second half under, which they needed them to not score, and just incredible sequence.
Sad. Beyond sad. House, best bet for us?
I've got 2. We've got the Baltimore Ravens first half minus 2.5 on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Go ahead and lay a little juice. Minus 132 is all it'll cost you. When they're up by 3, that ticket will be in your back pocket, and then you can go to bed. You don't have to stay up and watch them collapse in the second half. My favorite week 4 bet, a moneyline parlay, of course, because I am the old guy playing the old school moneyline parlays. It's the Green Bay Packers at the Dallas Cowboys, combined with the LA Chargers at the New York Giants. Right now, that's available on the FanDuel Sportsbook at minus 114. Don't have to lay a ton of juice to get that money line parlay across the line.
Like to stand that. Dabbundo, anything you'd like to add?
I bet Ravens team total tonight, and I bet over 48.5 for Rams Colts. But I'm watching the board here now. A lot of Minnesota money in the last hour. They were minus 120 when I woke up this morning. They're out to 45, minus 150, minus 2.5 at some books. So that the Dublin game is getting a lot of early Minnesota money in the week. Both teams had a lot of turnovers that they benefited from last week, but certainly Pittsburgh's offense looked pretty awful against a bad New England defense. So I think I agree with that move. Not sure I'd lay the current price, but still interesting to monitor throughout the week.
Gang, Baltimore Ravens win the game. Lamar Jackson, 40-plus rushing yards. Can get that at plus 109 on FanDuel. I'm with you, Dabbundo, on that team total. Let's bring that baby home. And that's going to do it for this Monday East Coast Bias on a Ringer Gambling Show. For Dabbundo, Raheem, House, JJ, signing off. Good job by Stefan, Mikey, the whole crew. We'll have content coming your way throughout the course of the week. We out. Be good, everybody. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org
or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.